Welcome to our latest UK Singles Chart review, where we're reviewing every hit single to reach number 1 during 1970. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified of new content. Thanks. Australian Rolf Harris is first up with Two Little Boys, a sentimental song about two friends who grow up to be soldiers. This song was first published in 1903 by American composer Theodore F. Morse and lyricist Edward Madden, and the first of numerous recordings was by American singer Billy Murray in 1903. Rolf Harris's version of Two Little Boys was his fifth UK Top 50 hit single. His first hit was Timey Kangaroo Down Sport, which peaked at number 9 in 1960, and he went on to have a total of 10 UK Top 50 hits. His last one was Fine Day in 2000, which reached number 24. Two Little Boys became Harris's first and only UK number 1, reaching the top spot the week of the 14th of December 1969, and staying there for 6 weeks, thereby becoming 1970's first UK number 1.
When we were two little boys.
As well as being a musician, Harris had a long career as a television personality and painter, until his well-publicized fall from grace and imprisonment in 2014. He passed away in 2023. Next, it's Edison Lighthouse with Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes. The band were formed in London in 1969, and they named themselves after the Eddystone Lighthouse in Cornwall. Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes was Edison Lighthouse's debut single, and it reached number 1 during its second week of release, and stayed there for 5 weeks, selling 250,000 copies in the UK alone. After a follow-up single, She Works in a Woman's Way, failed to chart, singer Tony Burrows left the band, and they continued with a different lineup. Edison Lighthouse would reach the UK Top 50 one more time, with their single It's Up to You Petula, which reached number 49 in 1971. A version of Edison Lighthouse was touring the nostalgia circuit as recently as 2024. Although none of the original members are in the lineup, the band does include vocalist Brian Huggins and guitarist Peter Butt, who joined in 1973. Original singer Tony Burrows also had hits in 1970 with the Brotherhood of Man, White Plains, and the Pipkins. He even appeared on BBC Television's Top of the Pops with 3 different groups in the space of a month, including one show where he appeared with both Edison Lighthouse and the Brotherhood of Man. Our third number 1 is Lee Marvin with Wandering Star, a song written by Alan J. Lerner and Frederick Lowe for the stage musical Paint Your Wagon in 1951. When the film of the musical was made in 1969, Lee Marvin took on the role of Prospector Ben Rumson, and sang all of his songs in the film. Despite the film being a flop, the soundtrack was a success, and Marvin's version of Wandering Star reached number 1 for 3 weeks in March 1970.
Under a wandering star.
Initially, the single was billed as a double A-side, with Clint Eastwood, who also starred in the film adaptation of Paint Your Wagon, singing I Talk to the Trees. Marvin never released a follow-up single, and he is therefore considered a one-hit wonder. He continued his acting career until he passed away at the age of 63 in 1987. He rests at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors. Next up, it's New York's Simon & Garfunkel with Bridge Over Troubled Water. Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel met in elementary school in 1953, and they had minor success under the name Tom and Jerry in 1957 with Hey Schoolgirl, a song imitating their idols, the Everly Brothers. They regrouped as Simon & Garfunkel in 1963, going on to release 5 studio albums, as well as having their music featured prominently in the 1967 film The Graduate. Bridge Over Troubled Water was the duo's 6th UK hit single, and their first to reach number 1, where it stayed for 3 weeks. The song went on to win 5 awards at the 13th Annual Grammys in 1971. Simon & Garfunkel had a troubled relationship and broke up in 1970. Paul Simon went on to a successful solo career, releasing albums such as Graceland and The Rhythm of the Saints. Art Garfunkel released successful singles including I Only Have Eyes for You and Bright Eyes, as well as pursuing an acting career. The duo have reunited several times, and their 1981 concert in Central Park attracted more than 500,000 people. Dana has the next number 1, with All Kinds of Everything. a song with which she represented Ireland at the 1970 Eurovision Song Contest. Dana was born Rosemary Brown in London, and she moved to Derry in Northern Ireland with her family when she was 5 years old. She signed her first record contract shortly before turning 16, and in 1969 she entered the Irish National Song Contest. After finishing second, she was invited to try again the following year, this time winning the contest with All Kinds of Everything. On Saturday, the 21st of March 1970, she was declared the winner of the Eurovision Song Contest, the first of Ireland's 7 wins. The single release of the song gave Dana her first UK hit, and it reached the #1 spot for 2 weeks.
All kinds of everything remind me.
Dana went on to have a total of 7 UK top 50 hits, with the last coming in 1979. She transitioned to Christian music later in her career, writing and performing songs with a religious theme. Dana entered politics, and after unsuccessfully running for President of Ireland in 1997, she was elected as a member of the European Parliament in 1999, where she served until 2004. In recent years, she's been back in the recording studio and released her most recent album in 2019. American singer-songwriter Norman Greenbaum reached the top of the chart next with his hit, Spirit in the Sky. Greenbaum was born in Massachusetts, and his initial interest in music was sparked by Southern blues music and folk music. He performed with various bands in high school and studied music at Boston University, before dropping out and moving to Los Angeles in 1965. In the late 1960s, he was the leader and composer of Dr. West's Medicine Show and Junk Band. The group was too eccentric for mainstream show business, and Greenbaum went solo. He submitted an original song, Spirit in the Sky, to Reprise Records, and the resulting single rocketed to #1 in almost all worldwide markets, including 2 weeks at the top of the UK chart. Although the song has a clear Christian theme, Greenbaum is Jewish, but he no longer practices the religion. He stated that he was inspired to write the song after watching American country music singer Porter Wagoner performing a Christian-themed song on television. Spirit in the Sky was to be Greenbaum's only UK hit, and in 1972, he left the music business and returned to work on his dairy farm. A cover version of the song by Doctor and the Medics would top the UK singles chart in 1986. It's our 7th #1, and it's the England Football World Cup squad with Back Home, recorded to celebrate the team's involvement in the 1970 World Cup held in Mexico. Back Home began the tradition of the England football squad recording songs. It was written by Bill Martin and Phil Coulter, who also wrote songs such as Puppet on a String, the Eurovision winner for Sandy Shaw, and Congratulations, Cliff Richard's Eurovision runner-up. After entering the chart at number 26, Back Home climbed to the top of the chart and stayed there for 3 weeks during the build-up to the World Cup. As the reigning champions, England were regarded as strong contenders for the tournament, but ultimately they arrived back home after losing to West Germany in the quarter-finals. The England team failed to qualify for the next 2 World Cups, and the team did not reach #1 again until 1990, when they topped the charts with their New Order collaboration, World in Motion. The next song to reach #1 was Yellow River by English band Christie. In 1970, Jeff Christie offered his composition, Yellow River, to the Tremeloes, who recorded the song but changed their mind about releasing it. The Tremeloes' vocals were subsequently removed, and Jeff Christie's were added, and the resulting single with the Tremeloes' instrumentation was released on the 23rd of April 1970. Credited to Jeff's band Christie. It reached the top of the UK chart for a single week, and was #1 in 26 countries, selling over 3 million copies worldwide. Christie's follow-up single, San Bernardino, reached #7 on the UK chart in October 1970, and the band had one further top 50 hit in 1972 with Iron Horse. The band continued with a change in personnel for a few years before splitting up. Jeff Christie reformed the band in 1990 with members of the UK group Tubeless Hearts. They continued to tour over the next 16 years, and in 1991, Tubeless Hearts unsuccessfully tried to represent the UK at the Eurovision Song Contest with the Jeff Christie song, Safe in Your Arms. Over the years, Jeff Christie has remained active under the group name, embarking on a European tour in 2009. and releasing a collection of demos and unreleased songs in 2012. Mungo Jerry are up next with their iconic hit, In the Summertime. Mungo Jerry were formed by Ray Dorset in Ashford, Middlesex in 1970, and they came to prominence after their performances at the Hollywood Music Festival in Staffordshire in May, where they performed alongside Black Sabbath, Traffic, and the Grateful Dead. In the Summertime was Mungo Jerry's debut single, and it was unusual that it was the first maxi single and it played at 33 1/3 RPM, rather than the usual 45. The single reached #1 in charts around the world, including 7 weeks at the top of the UK singles chart.
In the summertime, when the weather is hot, you can stretch right up.
Mungo Jerry's follow-up single, Baby Jump, was also a #1 hit, and they had 8 UK top 50 singles in total. Ray Dorset went on to write the song Feels Like I'm in Love for Elvis Presley, but Presley died before it was ever recorded. It was later a hit for Scottish singer Kelly Marie in 1980. Mungo Jerry have continued to tour and record over the years, with Ray Dorset being the only ever-present member. They released their last album, Sunlight, in 2022. Next it's Elvis Presley with his version of The Wonder of You, a song which was first released by Ray Peterson in 1959. It was also recorded by artists including Ronnie Hilton and The Platters. Elvis's live version of The Wonder of You was recorded in Las Vegas in 1970, and it gave him his 74th UK Top 50 hit, and was his 16th UK #1, topping the chart for 6 weeks.
The wonder of you. Play the song, James.
Elvis went on to achieve a further 26 UK Top 50 hits before he passed away in 1977 at the age of 42, with the last of these, Way Down, reaching #1 in the weeks following his death. Re-releases of his singles have appeared on the chart many times in the following years, and in 2002, a remix of A Little Less Conversation by Dutch musician Junkie XL topped the chart. Following Elvis to the #1 spot, it was Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. The group was formed in 1955 by 5 teenage friends from Detroit, Michigan, under the name The Five Chimes. After some changes in personnel, they became The Miracles, and were the first successful recording act for Motown Records. Their 1960 single, Shop Around, was the first Motown single to sell 1 million copies. Around 1965, the group started to be billed as Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. The Tears of a Clown was co-written with Stevie Wonder, and first appeared on the group's 1967 album, Make It Happen. The track was re-released as a single in the UK in 1970, and it topped the chart for 1 week. The Tears of a Clown was the Miracles' 6th UK Top 50 hit and their sole #1, and they would go on to achieve 10 Top 50 hits in total, including a re-release of The Tears of a Clown in 1976. Smokey Robinson left the Miracles in 1972 and engaged on a long and highly successful solo career. He released his first album of all new material since 2009 in 2023. Following Smokey Robinson's departure, the Miracles re-emerged in 1973 with a critically acclaimed album, and they continued to have commercial success throughout the 1970s. Freda Payne is next with her hit single, Band of Gold. Payne was born in Detroit, Michigan, and as a teenager she attended the Detroit Institute of Musical Arts. She moved to New York City in 1963 and worked with many entertainers, including Quincy Jones and Bill Cosby, and she released her debut album the following year. In 1969, her old friend from back home in Detroit, Eddie Holland, offered her the song Band of Gold. The song gave Freda Payne her first UK Top 50 hit, and it stayed at the top of the chart for 6 weeks. Freda Payne went on to have 2 more UK Top 50 singles, with Deeper and Deeper later in 1970, and Cherish What Is Dear to You in 1971. In 1981, she briefly hosted her own TV talk show, and she also found work acting in different movies, on Broadway, and other theatre productions throughout the 1980s. She has never given up singing, however, and her most recent studio album, Let There Be Love, was released in 2021. After Freda Payne came Matthew's Southern Comfort, a British country rock folk band formed in 1970 by former Fairport Convention singer Ian Matthews. The band was formed to enable Matthews to tour following the success of his first post-Fairport album, released in early 1970. The band recorded 2 further albums in 1970, but it was their version of Joni Mitchell's Woodstock that propelled Matthews' Southern Comfort to fame. It gave the band their first and only UK hit single, and stayed at the top of the chart for 3 weeks. Ian Matthews was not happy with the media coverage and obligations which came with his band's newfound success, and he had quit the group by the end of the year. The remaining members continued under the shortened name of Southern Comfort, whilst Matthews released a solo album before relocating to America in 1973. Matthews returned to Europe in 2000, and he has since revived the band name. The latest album under the Matthews Southern Comfort name was the Woodstock album, released in 2023, which featured interpretations of 15 songs that had been performed at the Woodstock Festival in August 1969. The penultimate #1 single for 1970 was Voodoo Child by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Upon its release, the name of this single caused confusion, as Hendrix recorded a different 15-minute song called Voodoo Child in 1968 for the third Experience album, Electric Ladyland. This longer song became the basis for the shorter Voodoo Child Slight Return, which also appeared on the album. After Jimi Hendrix's death in September 1970, Track Records released the shorter song but used the name Voodoo Child. The single gave Hendrix his 7th UK Top 50 hit, and in reaching the top of the chart for a single week, it was his sole #1. Following Hendrix's death at the age of 27, there have been many albums released bearing his name, containing pre-Jimi Hendrix Experience recordings, unreleased recordings, remixes, repeated reissues, and recordings of inferior quality. Some of his unfinished 4th studio album was released in 1971 as The Cry of Love. Hendrix is posthumously the recipient of many awards, and his legacy continues to live on. And that brings us to the final #1 single of 1970, and it's Dave Edmunds with I Hear You Knocking. Dave Edmunds was born in Cardiff, and he played in numerous bands from a young age. He led the blues rock band Love Sculpture from 1966, and they had a novelty hit with their high-speed cover version of the classical piece Sabre Dance, reaching #5 in the UK singles chart. I Hear You Knocking is a song that was written by American musician Dave Bartholomew, and New Orleans rhythm and blues singer Smiley Lewis was the first artist to record the song in 1955. Edmunds came across the song whilst producing Shakin' Stevens and the Sunsets' first album in 1970, and his recording of the song gave him his first solo hit, topping the chart for 6 weeks. Edmunds went on to reach the top 50 on 8 occasions, although I Hear You Knocking remained his sole #1. He recorded less frequently after the mid-1980s. He joined up with Ringo Starr and his all-star band for tours in 1992 and 2000, and in 2007 he undertook a lengthy tour with Joe Brown. Edmunds released his most recent album in 2015, and after playing a final show in 2017, he was reported to have retired from the music business. That concludes our countdown of the UK's #1 singles of 1970. We hope you enjoyed it, and please come back for the next countdown. Thanks for watching.